Hello, and welcome to an introduction on questionnaire surveys. My name is Georgina, and I will be your guide for a broad overview of the questionnaire survey research method. I have been working closely with Team Alberta, which includes colleagues Deborah Hall and Natalie Hausman, to present our MHST 603 class with some carefully curated information on this topic. Questionnaires are structured research tools that are designed to collect self-reported data in both quantitative and qualitative methodologies. Within empirical research, they can measure interrelated variables to test specific hypotheses and address research problems. They efficiently gather large volumes of data and are a good option when researchers have limited resources available for their project. According to Kahn et al., there are three main applications of survey questionnaires. First is descriptive, as they capture the research population's characteristics, behaviors, or demographic data. The second is analytical application, insofar as they test a specific hypothesis and explore relationships or correlations between variables. Finally, they are useful in an evaluative sense as they measure changes over time to determine effectiveness of a particular intervention. To find out more about the applications, please refer to the Kahn et al. Literature review. So, as researchers, when do we use questionnaires? Well, in our textbook, Batterjee describes this survey method as a tool for, and I quote, descriptive, exploratory, or explanatory research, which means this tool is best suited for the collection of individual responses to create a larger data set that can be analyzed by the researcher in order to draw conclusions that either support or negate their hypotheses. In practical terms, Robling et al. Suggests that in a healthcare context, questionnaires can be used to capture information such as patients' lifestyle choices, health behaviors, and clinical indications of patient-reported outcomes, for example. Depending on the questionnaire design and administration, researchers can capture both quantitative and qualitative data. For example, there could be a question structured with a set multiple choice response, or a question could encourage the respondent to relay a story with free-form text. Batterjee points out that these tools lend themselves well to collect data from large sample sizes, especially if they are self-administered. Which brings us to the third point on this slide, feedback collection. There are many ways to collect questionnaire survey feedback from respondents. Batterjee mentioned self-administered mail-in surveys, and a good example of this would be the Canadian census form we would have all filled out earlier this year. There are also group-administered questionnaires. An example of this is the course questionnaire administered by Athabasca University at the end of each of our classes. There are telephone or in-person questionnaire surveys where both the question and the response options are read to the respondent, and the responses could be offered verbally or through phone keypad, for example. Political pollsters seem to prefer telephone questionnaires. There are online questionnaire survey tools such as Jotform, Google Forms, Mentimeter, Typeform, etc. Depending on the need, there are various computer-based and even AI-assisted questionnaire tools that help to collect data and then share it back with either the researcher or, in the case of a tool like Mentimeter, share it with a live participant audience. Finally, questionnaires should be used when it fits with a research goal. And, as Batterjee puts it, individual people are the unit of analysis. Our Batterjee text provides a good overview of the features and qualities of questionnaires. First, Batterjee discusses the varied response formats that lend themselves to a very versatile research tool. For example, he characterizes dichotomous, where the responder picks one of two options. Nominal, where they would pick one out of more than two options. Ordinal, where they would pick from a hierarchical set of options. Interval level, which would be a scaled response, such as a Likert scale, to rate their response, and continuous responses. So this would include a numbered response starting from 0 to indicate a a response value, such as age, for example. The questions themselves can be closed or open-ended and structured or unstructured, depending on the researcher's needs. Batterjee also outlines a vast amount of what he calls unobservable data, which includes, and I quote, people's preferences, traits, attitudes, beliefs, behaviors, factual information, etc. When populations are too large to study individually, questionnaires are very useful data collection tools. As discussed earlier, there are many ways to distribute a questionnaire to the population being studied. In Kahn et al., they urge consideration of population attributes such as literacy and time constraints as key considerations for questionnaire survey design. For example, a seniors population may be more comfortable with a paper-based questionnaire than one that can be accessed via QR code and digitally responded to. Finally, many online survey tools offer support in data analysis, which can be very helpful. Batterjee points out important considerations in preventing research bias. If you're interested, pages 80 to 82 provide good detail on this front. Our online demonstration survey also uses a tool that offers some analysis functionality. Please see our website under the description and unique features tab for a link to some of our favorite questionnaire survey builders. In Ithel and Ithel, they highlight a systematic process to questionnaire development that is quite useful. First, they suggest that a hypothesis and variable formulation be created. This means designing questions that align directly with the research question. Next, the researchers should pre-test their questions to make sure respondents can easily understand what is being asked of them. Question types that align with the research objectives and the population being studied must be considered. Ithel and Ithel advocate for statistical methods that test the questionnaires' reliability and validity. And then the final step is data cleaning and pre-analysis. In this step, clear strategies and methods for cleaning the data, which means making sure there aren't inherent biases, for example, and testing the model before drawing the final conclusions for research is required. This presentation outlined how questionnaires are important research tools that allow researchers to obtain both quantitative and qualitative data from large or diverse populations of respondents. They are not without their flaws, however. In the Ainola and Alvison article, they point out that questionnaires can ignore human experience as interpretive, and this means human data is not easily or practically reduced to a numerical scale, for example. You can also find out more information about this on our website. Please explore our website where my colleagues take a deeper dive into the validity and assumptions, strengths, and weaknesses of this research tool. I hope this presentation has whet your appetite to learn more about questionnaires and to consider their use in your future research applications. Thank you so much for your time.